Jill Evans, Plaid MEP. How important are all these votes this week to do with the EU budget when it comes down to Wales?
Well, very important, of course, because Wales is a net beneficiary of EU membership. In other words, for every man, woman and child in Wales, for the amount we put in, we get £40 more a year back. That's research that I published last year, which showed that Wales does well out of being a member of the European Union. But of course, it's not just that simple. With the overall budget, I voted against that because voting for that budget meant voting for cuts in the actual funding that was coming to Wales. And I've consistently campaigned against those cuts and having to campaign against the London government on this, because the UK government, of course, wanted to slash the budget, including the regional funding and the agriculture funding.
But in the end, Wales has come out with, at least in money terms, really a rather good deal. I mean, I guess we're talking about hundreds of millions of pounds that's heading for Wales over the next 7 years.
Yes, that's right. It could have been better, but yes, of course, we got funding. We get funding, of course, because our economy is so weak, because we've been impoverished by the policies of the UK government, and we haven't been able to make our own decisions. And the past few months with the budget debate has shown more clearly than ever what it means that Wales itself isn't here speaking and voting in the council where these important decisions on the budget are made. And while the UK government is voting for us, we are always going to lose out. What we have to try and ensure now is that with this funding that we get in over the next 6 years, that we can actually use it, target it on really creating jobs, particularly jobs for young people, and changing, transforming the economy, which is something that we've failed to do in the past 10 or 15 years. And one of the reasons for that, I believe, is that we haven't had a proper economic plan for Wales, looking at our strengths, looking at where we can excel and looking at where we can create those jobs.
I mean, you blame the UK government, but taking regional funding, that specifically goes directly to Wales. It doesn't go via the UK government. So do you think that this EU money is worthwhile, really? Because there's been hundreds of millions, maybe even billions by now, spent in Wales, particularly in West Wales and the Valley, and yet GDP still lagging behind the rest of Europe.
I believe the problem has been that there hasn't been a plan. If you look at where a success has been made of EU funding, such as in Ireland in the past, such as in the Basque Country now, which has an extremely strong economy, it's because they've used that funding as part of an overall plan. And that's what's been missing in Wales. And what we have to do is involve people in the local communities as well in deciding where that money is spent. If you talk to people on the streets in West Wales and the Valleys communities, they'll say, well, they know there's a lot of money that's been spent, but they don't know where it's gone, they haven't seen it. What we need to do is make sure those people who live in those communities have a say in where the money is spent. And this is why I've been proposing earmarking a percentage of the money perhaps to be actually voted on a local level. Ask people what would they prefer the money spent on. Would they prefer it spent on apprenticeships or on some kind of education schemes or renewable energy or insulating homes? Give them the choice of what they believe can really change their communities.
Nonetheless, of all the projects that have received European money up till now, are the ones where you would single them out as for praise, really, and for having made achievements, presumably towards getting new jobs apart from anything else, if the aim at the end is to boost Wales' economy?
Well, I travel all over Wales and I see some fantastic schemes. And yes, there have been jobs, sustainable jobs created. There have been amazing things done on a community level. But we know that there are still failings because overall the money isn't working. And when I was last in talks with the European Commission here, what they said was Wales had to start taking risks, that we keep putting money into the same old projects and it's not working. We have to look at things differently. We have to pick out 3 or 4 main areas of work, target those, specialise in those, and start taking a few more risks as well.
Just finally, another lot of funding this week, also some of it heading to Wales, is to do with transport. There are transport schemes on the list that include Wales. I understand the Milford-Swansea-Cardiff rail line and also the Cardiff-Bristol-London railway line. But you're concerned about this transport funding. Why?
Well, those of us who've been working in the past years for an upgrading of the main transport links in Wales fully expected to and have been campaigning to get those routes, particularly along the north and the south coast, included in part of what's called the 10T network, this new European cross-border network, what they call corridors, which form the framework for all transport policies in the future. For us, of course, one of the most important links is that to Ireland, and particularly with Holyhead and with Milford Haven and the ports in the south. That link we wanted to see developed is a crucial cross-border link. Yet when the map was published of those all-important corridors, not one of them was in Wales, and we know that it's because the UK government refused that. The Commission wanted to put them in and the UK government said no. Now, this is a huge disappointment. It doesn't mean there's no funding coming to Wales. There will be opportunities to apply for other routes, but those are the priority routes, the priority links, which would almost automatically get some of this 26 billion euros funding. And so it's a disappointment, but I don't think we should give up. I think we should start lobbying the UK government to get them to change their mind on this. And I hope that the Welsh government, which allowed this to happen, will also now say it's not acceptable. We don't want to be second best. Again, we want to be first. We want to be in that main transport route.